It's like Fight Club rules. If you say it, then you're out.
Yeah, we can't talk about it.
You can't talk about the boys club.
No.
It just exists.
Yeah, but if you talk about it,
You're out.
Rosanna Pansino, thank you for talking with us today. I'm so excited.
Thanks for coming to hang out with me today.
Of
This
course.
is so fun.
I know, I'm really enjoying myself. I want people to be taken along on your journey because you've had quite a phenomenal life and full of ups and downs. And I think people don't always know, right? We tend to see a highlight reel of like, we're in your beautiful studio that you just built and it's amazing. And if everybody could see it, look on her Instagram, you can see it there. But it wasn't always like this. And you grew up close to where I grew up. We're both Pacific Northwesterners in Seattle. What was it like being Rosanna Pansino, let's say, I don't know, 12, 13, like middle school? That's always a tough time, but take me back. What was it like?
Middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went to an alternative middle school.
Ooh, how so?
I went to a Native American elementary school because in Seattle and the Northwest in general, there's a lot of Native American population and a lot of influence, like a lot of the towns and cities, even Seattle, named after Chief Sealth, so it's a lot of the names like, Snoqualmie or,
Snohomish,
yeah.
Yakima. Mm-hmm.
A lot of those names are Native American names. And so I think it was just non-traditional. My upbringing was a little non-traditional. Going to a Native American elementary school, we just focused on a lot of other things, some traditional things, but not so much.
Yeah.
And then in middle school was the first time I kind of shifted into a more traditional setting with homework. And I kind of struggled because it was going from something very non-traditional to traditional. And I was like, whoa, there's homework, there's all this. And I was really overwhelmed. And I ended up going to an alternative middle school, which my mom found. And at the time, none of us were diagnosed with ADHD. They just didn't know what to do with us. We were like this group. We were New Options Middle School.
Oh, interesting.
And it was in this beautiful kind of like building. It almost looked like a mansion. And it was this 2-part building. It was almost like restored. It had beautiful stairscape and this like, and it was in Queen Anne.
I know exactly where that is.
I'll show you a picture. I'm going to send you a picture. Okay,
we'll
this is a really long, boring story about this old ass building. But I have a picture, and it. I felt like I was an X-Men. I felt
like a castle.
I'm
almost.
different. I'm not functioning traditionally like the other kids, and I got to go to a special school. Like this is how I'm feeling.
Is that what happened? That you started when you went to middle school? You started, and then it didn't work. Like you were having a really hard time, and so your mom found this.
Yeah.
And you switched over.
Yeah, it was a program for people who basically had ADHD. A bunch of the kids, I think, went to this school, had some type of either learning disability or they're just different. They just weren't standard.
Yeah.
A lot of things we did were a lot more physical. I remember we had a field trip every Friday, like a field trip Friday. They put us in really active programs like Ski-Addle. We would go every Friday and go ski on the mountainside. A big Greyhound bus would pick us up, load us in. Yeah, we would go to Snoqualmie. We would just go ski, and then we'd come back at midnight. So the parents would kind of get a date night.
Oh, wow.
And drop us off late at night. They'd really wear us out.
Yeah. Did you thrive in this alternative school?
That was really helpful. I think it's a mix between needing structure and freedom. I think it's that mix where it can't be too heavy-handed one way or it just doesn't click.
Did this program have a high school, or was that like another drastic?
Yeah, that was another drastic change. I think that was the hardest. I had the hardest time adjusting to high school because the high school that I went to was locally near my house, whereas the middle school that I went to was really far away. It was like an hour and a half away.
Wow.
So when I went to high school, I didn't know anyone. I don't think I knew anyone. And they had all grown up together. All the kids in the freshman class, they had been to elementary school together. They had been neighbors. They've been playing on sports teams together. They just had rich histories. They went to middle school together. They've been there for years at each other's birthdays, and they knew everyone's siblings. And I felt like the new kid in town, even though I lived there, my social life wasn't there. So when I entered high school, I did feel really alone. I was really shy. School was extremely difficult because this was a public high school in Seattle, so it was very standardized. We had the standardized tests, and it is not how I learn the best. It's not how I learn well, and it was hard for me to perform to keep up to those standards. And so I really didn't get into a lot of trouble because a lot of my free time ended up after school curriculars, sports, needed to get my energy out, clubs, and homework. What would take my sister a half hour to write a paper would take me 3 hours. So being dyslexic, it just took me longer to get there. And so my studies, because I had really good grades, I think I graduated with a 3.8
That's
something.
amazing.
Yeah,
And you
I
had no
really
resources, right? Because you weren't diagnosed. We had no treatment. Wow.
I was
just through sheer
yeah.
grit, just like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I just really wanted to get out of that environment. I think, how do I say this? My mom and my dad were so sweet. Like they supplied a lot of love and support emotionally. That was my safe space, was at home. But the community we grew up in was a little bit more dangerous. It had higher crime rates. There was a lot of violence. There was a lot of drugs. There was a lot of the stuff that I just wanted to work really hard so I could afford to move out of the neighborhood one day. And it motivated me to want to do this. I was like, okay, if I want out of this environment, I need to work really hard. I need to get into college. I need good grades to do that. To get good grades, I have to complete all these things that I'm not good at. So I just got to buck up and do it. And it was a struggle.
Yeah, I can imagine, because if you're not diagnosed, then you have no extra time on tests, quiet rooms, none of that. You just had to like bear down and do it.
I thought I was dumb.
Were you exhausted all the time? Because
Yeah.
that's one thing they don't talk enough about, I think, when it comes to females with ADHD, is like the masking that we do to try to fit in, and that you're doing it all the time to be like, well, what do you want me to say? How do you want me to act? What's the way that I should be doing this? And that is always extra like emotional energy out.
Yeah. I think that I was really quiet the first couple of years in high school because I was just...
Quiet? Blows my mind.
I know.
You're so chatty and bubbly. It's like the only way I know you. But that just goes to show, right? You didn't feel like you could be yourself, so you weren't.
No.
Ugh. Okay, so we survived high school.
Barely.
By the skin of our
By
teeth.
skin of my teeth. Got good grades. Managed to stay out of most trouble.
Yeah, you said you were a rebel earlier.
I know.
I
am a little rebellious.
It's so funny. I guess I could see that in you now more than I did in the past. Why? How? When did this rebellious... Has it been your whole life? Like when you were little? Were you just like, no?
Yeah, pretty much. But I think my parents let me get away with it a little bit because they were just like, oh, she's so cute. Like just, well, another thing is that my dad, you know what? Now that we're talking, I think it's because my dad really wanted boys.
Oh, you were like his little... I was also my dad's surrogate boy. Like I know I had my older brother, but my brother wasn't interested in sports in the way that I was. And so I did a lot of like boyish things, and my dad would let me do a lot of certain like things to be more rough because I wanted to be more. That's so funny.
Isn't that funny?
So you were your dad's surrogate boy.
My dad always wanted to have a boy, and then he had two girls, me and my little sister. And I think even though it wasn't what he was hoping for, I think that it really brought out the best in him, because he was kind of a stubborn, feisty, Irish, stoic kind of a guy, and it brought out this really soft side of him that I think that he didn't realize would happen. But in exchange for that, he also kind of like taught us a lot of skills, survival skills and things he thought we needed to know to toughen us up. Like he brought us out camping. He taught us how to make fires. He taught us we'd always go target shooting, hunting, fishing.
Me too.
He's like, we need to learn how to fly a plane. We need to learn how to, and I'm like, Dad, why do I need... What girl is out in the forest learning the difference between a compound and a recurve bow? Like, this is so stupid, Dad. And like,
he was pretending he had sons for just a little bit.
Pretty much.
Survival. We should know how to survive in the wild.
Yes. And will say I do appreciate, he gave me a great, profound respect for where my food comes from, because he would take us out fishing. And so we'd have to go out there learn how to fish, understand the time it takes to fish, understand that, this fish is providing nutrients for you and it's losing a life, and the respect there. And a lot of that was growing up with the Native American culture. It's very much about yin and yang, the balance, and not using things in excess, and being really respectful and understanding where your food comes from. So
I think it is powerful for people to know what it takes. I know a lot of people have a hard time with it because they're like, I just wanted to get it at the grocery store and not know.
I don't want to look at it. I just want to eat chicken nuggets. And I get it.
But it's like there is something to that, and not being wasteful, like using all parts of the animal.
Yes.
Like my dad would always keep the hides, and we had like, all sorts of things. So yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
And I think it's really respectful. And so he made me, my first fish I caught, I had to gut it. It was just, I was like, ew, Dad, this is so gross. It's all slimy and I don't want to do it, because I was very girly. But he had me do it. And I think right then and there, I started to make these connections about hunting and the food I eat and the circle of life, and about that balance and being respectful of that. And so today, even when I'm cooking on the stove, like if I'm making a salmon or something, I think about those things. And I think about portions, and I think about, I really like that. And at the time I was like, Dad, this is gross. But now when I look back, I love him for it even more. Like I can't be more thankful and grateful, because it taught me a lot. But he definitely wanted boys. So back to that.
Yes. So that's why he let you be a little more rebellious.
A little bit more rebellious. And because I did a lot of activities that traditionally he would, more take a son to do, like hunting and things. At school, I liked hanging out with the girls and the guys. I loved girly slumber parties. Loved them with the ladies. Ladies' night. Like, I'm 7. Like, ladies' night, get your popcorn. like, let's do this. But I also loved hanging out with the guys. I liked both those activities, because when I was growing up, and I don't know if it's different now, but the activities were very sexist. I mean, they were like, girls do ballet and boys do this. And it was very like black and white. It wasn't, I don't know. I just didn't see any very like neutral activities as much. So I kind of hung out with my 2 groups of friends, and that stayed with me throughout my whole life. And I think because of that, I've just never understood sexism. Like, I just don't get it. I never got it when I was a little kid, and I still don't get it today, and I don't think I ever will. And that's also how I got kicked out of church.
So, yes, tell us about how you got kicked out of church, because I think that is just the funniest story.
So my mom's Catholic, she's Irish, and my dad was agnostic, and he just loved her so much and supported her. And he was like, I'll do anything you want. And so he came to church with us every Sunday. I was baptized. Molly was baptized. We were in Sunday school together. And I got in trouble all the time for asking questions. I was very curious, and I didn't understand sexist things. As a kid, that's really confusing.
You have no preconceived notion of anything. So why would you think there's limitations being female?
Exactly. So in church and Sunday school, they said to draw a picture of what you'd like to be when you grew up. And I really liked our priest, because he would, give sermons, or, and it would make people feel better, and he'd provide comfort for people, and he'd lead the choir, and I loved the music. And I was like, that's a great job. Like,
I love that job.
Yeah, I love that job. He gets to talk to everybody. He gets to make people feel better. He gets to counsel people. Like, this is such a great gig. Let's do this. So I drew a picture of a priest, and they were like, Rosanna, well, you can't be a priest. You could be a nun. And I was like, no.
That's not the same thing.
I don't want to wear that outfit. No, I don't.
Her job doesn't sound cool.
No, that's not what I'm going for. And they were like, well, you can't because you're a girl. And that was the first time, and I was just a little kid, and I just was like, that's so stupid. I was like, the kid next to me, his name was Austin. He was a dummy. And I'm like, this kid could be a priest and I couldn't?
Yeah.
His pants are on backwards. Like, are you kidding me? And they were like, well, yeah, And I just, there was things like that I just kept getting in trouble. So my mom was like, all right, we're going to take a break for a while from church.
Oh, funny. So you didn't go for a while?
Yeah,
'cause
we
you got
took a break
kicked out.
for a little bit. Then we started going to Lutheran services. And then I ended up being a church secretary for Methodist church for 2 years. I worked as a church secretary.
Oh, funny.
And I love the Methodists. They're fun. I get along with the Methodists.
They're more liberal, casual.
Yeah, a little
relaxed.
bit more. Yeah, a little bit more relaxed. And I just, it's a shame because there's so many things in church that I really like. Like I was telling you, I really like the fellowship. I like the supportive communities. I like the social bonds. I love so many things about it. Giving back. I love these things, but I didn't like the sexist stuff. And I still don't. And I just think it sucks to realize that you grow up in a world where it's like a flip of a coin, 50-50, whether you're born boy or girl. And if you're born a girl, then I'm paid less, I'm respected less in business and in the world. Like I feel like in college, I think it was like in our socioeconomic studies, they were saying like men are the A's of society, women are B's. And then we went over all the ways, I can edit this out if this is
No, you're
stupid.
fine, you're
We
fine.
went over all the ways in which that's represented in our society, like through like pay, job titles, invisible workload, what's expected in roles of woman and man and wife and husband, and then in career paths and what is expected nowadays, basically. And I'm like, that just sucks.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. There was actually a study recently about when people critique, whether it's personally or professionally, when it comes to women, over 67% of it is on our looks, where it's only 27% when it's a man. And it's such a frustrating statistic to hear because you're like, over your looks, that's like something you have the least control over, really. And then if you do something to alter your looks, then you're judged again for doing that. So you're like, it sucks. I'm like, I could try to put it into more eloquent language, but it just fucking sucks.
Yeah, just straight up, it sucks. So I have a little angst about it.
Yep.
I love
So
being
church
a
was
girl.
not for us.
I love being feminine. I love dressing up. I love those things, but I also love the activities I did with my dad, and we did for years and years and years into my adulthood. And so I think it's a little difficult for me. Like even when we were in a business deal with a big company, I won't say who. But basically, the fate of my business deal was determined on an all-boys hunting trip, and I wasn't invited. It's frustrating, especially
Very
because
frustrating.
I probably am a better shot than them, and they aren't even giving it a shot. Like,
yep.
it's this invisible wall.
These are girl activities.
Oh my gosh, is that why they call it a glass ceiling? Shut up. I just realized that. I was like, it's like a
they don't talk about it,
invisible.
but-
It's an invisible wall.
It's a limit.
You can't see it, but
Put
it's a
in
limit.
place.
but
But
what
I
is
very much feel it.
I'm feeling
I'm
it.
always banging my head against it.
It drives me nuts because I do understand there's different strengths, I do think, for men and women. I really do get that, especially understanding hormones. Like,
Yes.
hormonally very different and like what's going on internally. But I think a lot of my frustration does come from just being treated like
less
a
so
bee of society.
So going back to timeline. So high school, we just grit. We push through. We get good enough grades. We get into college. What was college like?
College saved my life.
Really? It's such a special time, too.
I think that college saved my life. I think that if I didn't get into college, I would be in a much different place. I applied to a bunch of colleges and one took me, and that was PLU, Pacific Lutheran University.
Yay.
So in the Northwest, I wanted to go to a school that was close to home, and I also wanted to go to a school that was a little bit smaller, and this was a small, private, prestigious university. So I thought this is the perfect fit for me because I knew smaller classroom sizes, more one-on-one with a professor is going to help me academically. Because in college, I'm not so much worried about getting perfect grades like I was in high school, but it's still, I need C's. I need C's, get degrees. I still need to pass these college level courses. And so I didn't want to go to like a big school like the UW because I've seen their class sizes. I toured them.
They're hundreds. I did too. That's why I went to Pepperdine, is because I wanted my class sizes to mimic what I had in high school. because otherwise I feel like I'd be a number, like I'd get lost. And I'm really glad that I made also because then you can walk up to your professor and ask a question and you're not like dealing with a TA. And I had done some research into like what questions you should ask. And one of them was like, how many of your classes are led by TAs? And Pepperdine was like 0. And then I think we had our bigger classes, you'd have a TA that would help with things sometimes. Amazing. So different. PLU, beautiful
So
school.
different. It was just, have you seen it?
I loved PLU
Oh
too.
my
Yes, and I
gosh.
went there I saw, of all random stories, I saw Maroon 5 before they were Maroon 5. They were something Flowers. I forget what their name was, but I saw them at PLU. This was like, I don't know, let's say 2002, 2003. I don't know.
They were a wonderful school. They were so supportive and like intimate and just like, I couldn't have asked for a better college, and I honestly just think they saved my life. If I hadn't gone to college, I don't know where I would have ended up, but I think with the ADHD, like the high risk taking and this entrepreneurship, like I don't know where I would be, but I am nervous to think of where it would be because I have so much fire, passion, and drive, and that like need for like risk that I don't know what that would have amounted to in my current environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm scared to think what that would have happened.
Yeah, how that would
what
look.
would have
right?
happened. Because
Yeah.
a lot of my other friends who didn't get into college and didn't make those decisions ended up leading very different lives and going on a very different journey, like drug dealing. A lot of them are in jail. A lot of criminal enterprises through like running chop shops and stuff. And I think of that. I think of Fast and the Furious, just little
Left
like
to your own devices without.
yeah, it's not that people are bad people. They aren't. It's just you have less options and mouths to feed, and you end up in situations. And I'm just really grateful that I got into college because I don't think that I would be sitting here today if I hadn't. That was the first time I was really around a lot of structure. It was the first time that I was around people who had hopes and dreams. Other students, my peers, had hopes and dreams. They wanted to be doctors, nurses, teachers, and they made a plan of how to get there. And it was the first time I was ever around that because in my
Not
high
even
school,
in high school? Yeah.
it was just survival. It was just
true.
get through the day, don't get jumped. Like it was just very survival. My school, oh God. Katie, not to brag.
No, you're fine.
Katie, not to brag, but there was a Washington State statewide test, the WASL.
I remember the WASL well. I hated the WASL.
Yeah, for you guys listening, it is basically like a SAT. It's a standardized test, but I think they give it to us our sophomore year.
I think so.
It's like a couple years before the SAT to kind
Yeah,
of check
freshman or
in,
sophomore.
see how we're doing as school ranking. And my school scored second to the lowest
Oh my God.
in the entire state.
Wow.
We had a really high dropout rate, high violence. My school was, I'm not saying my school was Dangerous Minds, but it was like,
But it felt that way.
but it was like maybe.
Sometimes.
Yeah, like somebody brought a gun to one of the dances and
Holy
our
shit.
thing got like shut down and we had meth labs blowing up all around and they'd cancel sports practice because there was too many chemicals in the air. So they would like do a shutdown because they're like the meth lab blew up again and so we'd have to like it was a thing.
No soccer practice today.
Yeah, no
kids.
soccer practice today. We have to cancel because of the meth lab. But it became so normal that when I went to college, I realized, oh my gosh, this is so nice.
It was almost like you're in fight flight. Like you're like, you know what I mean? That fight flight
Yes.
freeze for all of high school, just feeling like I just have to survive. Because if your middle school was like an hour and a half away, that's a whole different, ball of wax. It's a whole different area. And then you go to PLU of all places, so beautiful. And you're like, amazing.
I met the sweetest people. They just melted my heart. I met so many good people, so driven, so hardworking, so supportive. I just had never been around that. And it was incredible. And it helped change me in so many ways. And one of them is that's where I got diagnosed. So I was going to student services every day. Every day we'd have to, write papers for our class. And I would take my paper to student services every day because they had free help where tutors
awesome.
would read through your paper and help you like spell check, go over it grammar, see if you want to make some edits. Like they would help you, kind of like a little tutor. And I would go every day, and I really used those resources because I needed them. And one day, the lady leading it, she goes, Rosanna, I just wanted to tell you something, like after one of the semesters. And I go, yeah, what's up? And she goes, I'm really proud of you that you're in here every day fighting for your education. I am just really proud of you. I've never seen a more driven dyslexic. And I was like, oh, I'm not dyslexic. And she goes, oh, honey.
You're like, that's not my problem.
She goes, you are textbook. She goes, let's get you evaluated. And she said, are you willing? Would you want to do that process? And I go, we can do it. But, I'm not dyslexic. But again, I'm a little dumb. Everyone has told me I'm a little slow or whatever, but I'm not dyslexic. I don't even know what that is. I can't even spell it, And so I get evaluated. Yes, I'm completely dyslexic. And then I started researching what that actually meant, like knowing the name of something. Mm-hmm. And then you can actually do research, learn about it, reflect, and go, whoa, that is me.
We're like, wow, that makes so much sense.
So much more sense. This would have helped so much more earlier on, but I'm glad I knew now. And that was around the same time as an adult when I got diagnosed with ADHD. My doctor clocked it. So thank goodness for a doctor who pays attention. My doctor at that point had been 10 years. And I just was having all of these issues with focus. And I was asking her, like, is there something wrong with my head? Like I'm doing this and I'm calculating physics. And then and I don't understand why my brain goes here and I can't. And I was like, no, time is passing. Like, I don't understand. Time is passing, but it's not.
Yeah, the time blindness that comes with ADHD.
Time blindness.
Yeah.
See, those terms.
Yeah.
I just been dealing with them.
When we try to internalize, that's the thing that is so powerful about getting a diagnosis. Some people say, like, well, is it necessary? And it's not always necessary to get a diagnosis, whatever it is. But especially when it comes to things like dyslexia, ADHD, it's really imperative because, first of all, you have a name to put to those symptoms instead of saying, I'm a little slow, I'm a little stupid, which is not true. There's no correlation between intelligence and ADHD or dyslexia. They actually find higher intelligence a lot of times. Mm-hmm. So just put that to bed.
We just process a little slower.
Yes.
Like if we were computers, our processor is a little slower, but the computer's still good. Mm-hmm. And it can do other stuff good too.
Yeah, it can do fancy. Like you were telling me you're at a pool party and your guy jumps in, you're like calculating the trajectory. I'm like, that's like Rain Man shit. Like my brain does not do that.
Isn't that so funny? In high school, I did gymnastics and it was a lot of physics, like with the beam and the bars. And I would visually watch the girls and just be like, okay, that's when I do. Okay. And so
so you'd know the release, like for the time for where you were. Wow.
Kinesthetic learning like that, anything with motion and physics made so much sense to me and I could pick it up so quickly. Even with target shooting with my dad, the physics of target shooting and even when we'd hunt and things, it just made so much sense. But yeah, there's a lot of calibration involved with everything, but
and even baking weird. Is very like scientific, very precise.
Very.
It's so interesting.
It's like chemistry class.
But I think this is all like, I love this because it's like validation for what I've learned, which doesn't always happen. Sometimes it does. A lot of times it does. But sometimes you're like, I don't think they're teaching people properly. But when it comes to teaching therapists and other mental health professionals, we always talk about like working with your brain. And this just proves that when you do things that like in the row brain are like, oh yeah, this is easy. I like this. This is interesting. Oh, I'm going to release here. I'm going to jump. I'm going to bounce. I'm going to have this much time.
Yeah.
Like that just shows that like if you are doing an activity that works with your ADHD or dyslexic brain, you can do it and you enjoy it. And it's like, it's kismet. It's like magic. It comes together, you know?
It's just, that's exactly what it feels like.
So for people who don't maybe understand the impact, what was a bad day at college, and then what's a good day?
A bad day in college was I went to a class and I was so excited to be there because it was my first college course my first professor, and I had my little backpack and my books and I'm so excited. And we had to write an in-class short essay and an in-class press release because it was a communication course. And I had never written a press release before. This was like a media day. And so we just did it on the fly. I had no idea the professor was going to read our things out loud.
Oh, God.
So she collected all of them and started reading them. And I was dreading because this paper, I didn't have time to take it to student services. It's in class. It's just right on the spot. All of my processing issues and dyslexia are right there. I can't hide it. And my professor read my paper out loud and then commentated, "Whose is this paper? How did you even get into this college?"
Oh, my God.
And my professor said, "You have the reading, writing level of an 8th grader."
Oh, that'd be so devastating.
I was mortified because this was the first time in my life that I was around peers, students who were driven and had these big goals of having these very full lives. And it was basically singling me out and telling all my peers that I'm the dum-dum who doesn't belong here.
I can't believe they said that
The
to
dum-dum
everybody.
who shouldn't be in this class, shouldn't even be in this school. And I just got so emotional and I just picked up my stuff and left. And I needed to calm down for a little bit because I just didn't know how to process. I didn't know if I was sad or mad or it was just humiliating. And I remember I went to the professor's after hours office and talked to them and let them know more about, dyslexia because I'd been researching it or whatever. And we talked, and then moving forward, it was much better. But it's those kind of judgments when, someone will see how I read or write and think I'm very stupid or I have no intelligence, but then I'm like, but on the other end of it, because of dyslexia, I'm really good at 3D spatial reasoning. It just makes sense to me. It's like breathing. So for me, I was doing AP Advanced Calculus in high school, but it is still a struggle to read and write. So it's just my brain is just flourishing kind of in different area. It just operates differently. My professor was really blown away. They said that they had never met someone who was like me.
At least it was a learning point for your professor to know that, like, yes, it sucks and I wish that never happened to you. I'm so sorry. Because that kind of comment can be so wounding. And in front of, what were they thinking? But at the very least, they learned. And then they'd have a greater understanding going forward so that the next dyslexic student they run into doesn't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm just sorry you had to be the one to teach it to them.
Yeah. And yeah, I just wasn't expecting that because that was a rough day, but in a good day, this is where it comes into play. A good day, ADHD running wild, I like to take risks. I like to be active. I like to be moving. So I joined the school paper and started writing articles.
Oh, I love it.
And even though reading and writing, not a strength, there's student services, there's editors
I would
for
say
that.
you have an editor to catch everything.
Yeah, I'm that busybody who's going to go get the story, get the news. So I was fearless. I think that that's something also with ADHD is if something's a risk, it feels fun. It doesn't feel scary.
It works with your brain.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's novel, it's new, it's exciting. And you're like, woo, I can do this. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, who wants to go interview the dean? And no one wanted to interview him. Yeah, everyone was like, no. We're all freshmen. We're like, no. And I was like, I'll do it. So, I'm jumping in. I was interviewing lacrosse players. I know nothing about lacrosse.
I don't
We
either.
were doing these like news reports. I was giving the update of lacrosse scores.
I love it.
I still don't know how the game's played.
Row on the news.
Yeah, I'm like, so how's it looking here in the second half? They're like, what? That doesn't even make any sense.
They're like, there are quarters.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, my bad.
Yeah.
You're like, how many the goals, is that what we call them?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I loved it because I'd always be learning new things.
Yeah,
Like
it was
they
always
would
new.
just throw me on different assignments. And so I'd go learn about what the theater kids are doing. I'd go learn what an organist is doing. Like I interviewed an organist. I interviewed this girl who went to our school. She was incredible. She was blind and a double major and on the crew team. And I was just
Wow.
blown away by her. She was so independent. She used a guide stick and she would count the steps from her dorm room to each one of her classes. She's memorized all the steps. So she had her paths to go to all of her classes. And
Wow.
even on crew, I asked her how it worked. And she said, it's so kinesthetic when you're in the boat and you're rowing. It's you do it in unison with everyone else. You have the coxswain in the front, keeping you all together. And it's a sport you can do and you don't need to see.
It's
You
true because you
feel it.
feel it and you hear there because they're calling it, out.
Yeah.
How fascinating. Oh, interesting.
I just got to meet the coolest people and interview all these people and I loved it. So that was like a good day, is getting to like learn about other people's stories, learn like all these new sports. Lacrosse, didn't even know that was a sport.
Yep. It wasn't a sport in Washington.
Not in my high school.
Not in my high school.
No, I'm not high school.
And I remember when I came to college, people played it and
Like, what is this?
it's a field hockey, lacrosse, no idea what those things were. And people fenced and I was like, isn't that like a rich person sport? I'm so confused. And it probably was. I don't know. We didn't have it.
Yeah, so I took fencing
Wow.
in college, took pickleball.
Wow.
So fun.
Now pickleball is so
Oh
it's super
my
popular,
gosh,
so
it's
famous.
so fancy, and came from Washington, originated on Bainbridge Island.
Oh,
Oh,
look at that.
I know. I thought it was
Homegrown.
this just little funny Washingtonian sport.
I know.
And then now it's gone mainstream.
It is mainstream. Celebrities are playing.
I love it.
I haven't played it before. I have the whole set and everything. I got it for Christmas, but I haven't. I know.
Katie, we need to play.
Okay, you have
Mike's
to teach
playing
me.
all the time. He just went for his birthday gift. We got him a pickleball lesson.
Oh wow. Okay.
We've been pickling
pickling.
and balling.
You're pickle balling. You'll have to teach me. I have no idea.
You need a hat. It says
Okay.
pickle baller.
Okay, I can get one of those. We do have the paddles and the balls and all that. Good
Perfect.
stuff. Okay.
Okay, I'll check the brand. I'll get you the good stuff.
Okay. Perfect. I'll send you a
I've
picture
got
of
the
what
pro
I've got.
paddles.
Okay.
It's really going to up our game.
We'll really cream them. So college sounds like it was a big turning point. Like it went from feeling like we're surviving to thriving. And obviously there's ups and downs. There's going to be good days and bad days, like you said. After college, because you were around people with hopes and dreams, what did you want to be in college? And then what's like the first couple of years out?
Everything. Mm-hmm. I think that was part of ADHD, is I was just interested and curious and excited about everything because everything was new. I tried the nursing program because a few of my really good girlfriends were going into nursing. And I really like the idea of nursing. And I would job shadow them at the hospital. And my my roommates who were nurses, I let them practice on me to find a vein.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, and because like the blood in this stuff doesn't faze me.
It doesn't bother me either.
Yeah, like I think I would have really thrived in a medical profession. How do I say this? My biggest advice to people is to just try everything to see what you love and what you're good at, because you may surprise yourself, because I really thought I was going to be a nurse. All my friends were nurses in this program and I thought it was so cool. Medical stuff didn't really creep me out. Blood and, who cares?
Yeah.
Like I used to watch, babysit. I used to clean up all the poop and stuff, and I have dogs. Like it's no biggie. I got this. I'm very like nurturing. Like I'm all in it, but I learned that the numbers with the medication, I didn't trust myself 100%, especially maybe if I was tired or on a really busy shift.
Which
I
you can be, because nurses do long shifts and it can be exhausting.
I would never forgive myself if I made a mistake like that. And I remember when I was job shadowing one of the nurses, she almost flipped the numbers, like 15, 51, milligrams. They have, the dosage amounts that you're supposed to do. And I just thought, oh no.
Yeah, this could be really dangerous.
That could be really dangerous. And I would never even mean to do that. And that would break my heart.
Mm-hmm.
That would just crush me. So I kind of steered clear of it. But still in emergency situations, I will step in at a
You're
moment's
still our
notice.
girl.
Yeah.
You're a girl.
If your bone is sticking out of your leg, we're skiing, and
Yep.
your bone has gone sideways, I will make you a tourniquet and I will get you down that
We
mountain.
will figure it out.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'll say, deep breath in, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now we're going. Like, I'll get you down there. But it's just those details that really matter. I don't know. So I just played with everything. Honestly, Katie, I tried everything that was available. And I ended up with a communication degree and a business minor and almost a psych minor, one class short by accident.
Hey,
Signed up for the wrong classes. That was basically
probably ADHD.
And yeah, I thought I would go into some type of entertainment. I really liked interviewing people and working for like the news station on campus.
Yeah, be like Weather Girl Row.
Yeah. I was like so excited about it. And so I took an internship for Clear Channel. And I worked at Seattle's #1 radio station, Cube 93.
I was
so
going to say Cube
interned there.
93.3.
Yes. I was doing all the sticker stops. I was running those
I
marketing
remember
events.
those.
I would call like the winners, contest winners, and deliver things. And I started to work with some of the advertisers. I met an advertising rep from Banana Boat, bought them in, and it was really fun. I really liked business because I liked meeting new people and like building relationships. That was always really important to me, and I love that. And I just was not good at. It was hard to be. Basically, when I started to lean into journalism, that was really hard because it's so fast paced.
Yes.
And like where I struggled to write a press release on the fly in one of my first courses, I also struggled there. And I thought, this isn't made for me. I like how fast paced it is. I like helping. I like telling stories. I like helping people tell their stories, but I'm just not, I don't process
Yeah,
this
it can't
way.
be like that fast. It can be fast paced in environment, but not in production, kind of, right?
Yeah.
So how did you wind up on YouTube then?
Right?
Like, it's pretty fast paced.
Taking every oddball job you could ever think of. If you name a job, I've probably done it. I waitressed for 8 years. I was a church secretary for a couple of years. I was a go-go dancer. I
yeah, I
worked
forgot
at
about the go-go.
Abercrombie. I'd fold clothes. I can fold a T-shirt like nobody's
I'm
business.
sure. Yep.
And I feel like a lot of people with ADHD, they will lean into these very specific skills, and they have the most random tool set of skills.
Like your resume of things that
Yeah.
you can do.
Oh my gosh, Katie, I forgot to say, I taught English in China. I moved to China, to Henan, to Langkou County, and it's about 13 hours south of Beijing by train, and I taught English there
What?
for a year. That was great. Yeah.
That's wild. How'd that happen?
it was through my college.
Wow.
When I graduated, they did the big hiring freeze in Seattle because the economy crashed because they had approved all of those weird mortgage loans. All the banks
Yes,
had
it was
done that huge.
the '08.
Yeah.
It was when I was in graduate school. That's when I was starting graduate school because I'm like 2 years older than you.
Brutal time to find a job.
Brutal.
Yeah.
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 They always joke like, the elder millennials, why we have so much anxiety. And they're like, because, yeah, like in high school, 9/11 happened. And then when we go out into the world, there's a big
No jobs.
No jobs. There's a hiring freeze everywhere. And then when we try to have kids, because most of my friends are having, it's like COVID hits.
It's like perfect.
Awesome. All the timing things line up.
On track.
And like, wonder why we have a hard time.
Yeah, it was wild. Like, I have a huge family, and so I had an uncle who worked for Microsoft. I had my dad, worked for Boeing. Family members all over. I have a friend who works at Nintendo. But every major company in Seattle, all the companies I wanted to interview, they did hiring freezes. They wouldn't even take a meeting for months and months and months. So
I remember that you couldn't even get, it was just not, it was like it was a no-go. I remember that too.
in China, I think I liked the experience teaching because I liked feeling helpful. Mm-hmm. That made my heart happy. Like that made my tank feel full. And I realized that doing it internationally, the students were so well behaved, so respectful. I don't know if I could be a teacher in the States, to be honest. I think
It's
they
a
would.
tough job. It's a very tough job. Because
They would run me out of the classroom.
Culturally, I think it's very different. It'd be like teaching in Japan or something where the respect and the following the rules and we don't
Felt
necessarily.
like the vibe of my college, like very respectful, very polite and focused.
Yeah.
And
And we're here to learn.
yeah.
Like I feel like in the States, it's kind of like if kids feel forced to be in school versus in college, it's like a privilege.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like in other countries, it's like the kids are always.
They were wonderful. I loved all the students. I think that's something that I'm always going to remember. I love all the students.
Did you learn Mandarin at all?
I learned Mandarin. And what else? you know what? Oh, here it is. Here's my tangent. So English teachers in China are valuable because in China they have a test similar to the SAT, but it's called the NMET. And they take it senior year, like of high school, kind of similar to here. And some students take the entire year off to study for it because how you perform on this test determines not only what school, college you go to, but it also determines your major and your career.
From
so
that
in
young of an
China,
age.
yeah, you take the NMET and it will tell you what college you go to and what your degree will be in, and then what career you will have. So it's there's a lot of pressure on this test, and like the U.S., there's different parts of the test. Like there's linguistic, and then there's mathematical, but they have a third section, and that's English, and it's written and verbal test of English. So in China, I would say it's very valuable if you speak English to just go there and just talk to everybody because it's those skills are very useful and helpthey and
Fascinating.
they
And it
really
makes-
value that. So they just wanted me to come over and talk. And I said, well, I'm dyslexic. Do you care? And they said, no, we don't care. We just want you to be here and speak with the students nonstop and do your best because anything is going to help them.
Well, yeah, and you're a native speaker, which is different from having someone from China who learned it second language. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes there's some nuances that can be missed. So it's like that was your superpower.
Yeah. And they said I
Wow.
had cowboy English.
Oh, funny cowboy.
Cowboy English because of, I guess, colonialism. A lot of people who speak English in China have this beautiful English accent, like Harry Potter.
Oh, like more British accent.
Yes, it's so beautiful. So they say that's English, and then I'm cowboy English, like American cowboy
funny.
English. You know, it's really interesting because the things I would help with a lot were pronunciation. For example, in Chinese language, there's no TH sound. So there, that, this. So we would go over physically how to do that. Like put the tongue in between your two teeth, that, this.
Oh.
And really, because Chinese language is very like subdued, it's very little. I like, okay, 我的中文不好. Like, yeah, my Chinese is not very good. 我的中文不好. 我们英文老师. I'm an English teacher.
Yeah, it's very
It's very kind of
it's front of
small.
mouth.
Yeah, it's very little. So a lot of our language it's bigger, it's looser, it's louder, and our tongue just gets in there. So we practiced a lot of those things, and it was just fascinating, and I was just glad to be helpful.
yeah, so cool. So for a year you lived in China, and then when was that like that job was up, and then you came back, and then what did you do after that?
Oddball jobs. Anywhere and everywhere that would take me. I was a dog walker. I was a waitress. They still were not hiring very much anywhere. And I was just like, oh, I'm really glad I went to college and have this fancy degree. And now what do I?
And I can't even use it.
Here I am waitressing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, and I was thinking, well, maybe teaching, but I had job shadowed one of my teacher friends in the States, and I don't think I could control the classroom because, yeah, in the States, like we were talking about, it is a little different.
Yeah, a little rowdier.
A little rowdier.
to
I just don't think with my stature and what's going on that would have worked.
So when did Nerdy Nummies come
Oh,
into?
yeah. So
When did you create all of this?
my mom gifted me an acting class, and that led to me volunteering on a set as a PA. And then someone fell through, and then they put me on camera. I was getting coffee orders. And then it was the largest fan fiction series that was being created in Seattle. It was Star Trek Phoenix. Ended
Yes.
up on TV. Then an agent saw it and said, if you move to California, she'd take me as a client.
Wow.
And I said, let's do it.
Star Trek all the way.
Let's do it.
That was the big hit.
Live long and prosper.
That's what brought you out to LA.
Yeah, and I took every job here. Hand double. That's how I became part of the union,
Which
Screen
still
Actors
blows
Guild.
my mind. But let people know, be more specific about who you were hand double for.
That was my first gig here, you guys. This is how I became a union actor.
I'm gonna say, did you get
with
SAG?
Yeah, I got SAG, Screen Actors Guild. I got my benefits. So I had to audition for this role to be a hand double on the show Ghost Whisper, and not Jennifer Love Hewitt's hands. These were the hands that were doubling the actor who played her son. Like little 10-year-old boy hands.
Little baby hands.
Yeah. We had to go in, audition, and move things on cue and timing.
Because so funny.
kids
I have to
have all
watch
those,
that
like-
again and be like, those
Yeah.
are Rose hands.
Those are my hands. So all the close-up shots of like drawing a ghost with a crayon or pouring milk or lacing up a shoe or closing a backpack or like flashlights. Did a lot of like looking for ghosts with the flashlights. like artsy shots.
I love it.
Those are all my hands.
I love it. But that's because there's so many regulations with children. So it's less hours. So you could do all the extra.
Yeah.
How funny. Okay.
I loved it.
So we're SAG. We're fancy.
We're fancy.
We're hand doubling.
We've got medical benefits.
Whoop, whoop. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
Then-
we're cheerleading on Glee, little dance, junior dance, like doing my little dances. I'm having a blast. I'm working all my weird entertainment oddball jobs, and then I randomly meet Mike at a gaming convention. We happen to sit next to each other, of all random of random, and we just got to talking. And he was so sweet and nice, and so was his team. And it wasn't romantic at first at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes we don't know who our person would be
No,
at
and
that
you know
age
what?
yet
Even
either.
when I met Mike, I didn't think he was my person. I thought he could maybe be a good business partner, friend, and he kind of thought the same of me. He was like, "Oh, we're doing this YouTube thing. We could have some girls if you'd like to come and kind of fill in." And I was like, "What's YouTube?" Sure. Okay, what do I do? And they're like, "Well, we need a choreographer. We need this. We need that." I'm like, "I can do that." So it was fun and exciting, and I just got to wear many different hats. And I think that's where ADHD thrives.
Yes,
Things,
I
they're
think that's-
always new. They're always exciting.
That's why a lot of creators do have ADHD, I think, because it's such a alternative job with so many things to do, and there's always something new to learn or talk about. It's like constant. It's constant novelty, and there's also constant pressure, a little bit of chaos, which keeps you moving.
It's that secret sauce.
So we have Mike to thank for Nerdy Nummies then, right? Or how did that come to fruition? Because you are the
Yeah.
ideas gal.
Yeah, I started vlogging to get more comfortable in front of the camera, and Mike was encouraging me and giving me good advice and guidance. And then we hosted an E3 party at our house, and I made a Mario star cake, and I thought, well, why not vlog it? So I was vlogging all these other things, so I thought, why not vlog it? And then I uploaded it, and it was the first time that the online community was like, we love this. We need more of this.
That's awesome.
Why have you not done this sooner? No geeky baking show exists online or on TV. Like, we want this. This is it. More. And I was like, oh, okay, well, what do you want next week? And then people were just, the whole community was so excited, and they would tell me, and I would just do my best every time to make it happen. And I literally would say that in episodes. All right, I'll do my best to make it happen. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if this will turn out, but I'll do what I
I'll
can.
give it a shot. And we just started, and it just kind of became a show. This making geeky goodies. I've always loved baking because we grew up with not a lot of money, so that was like my love language and how I would communicate to a friend that I cared about them on their birthday. Like, because I couldn't go to the store and buy them a big fancy present, but I could make them homemade cupcakes, or I could make them their favorite kind of cookie. So that was kind of the way I would express love. And I just never thought that would actually ever turn into a career, ever a career mixed with entertainment. It's like things you love can become a career. What? Didn't envision this.
I know.
In college, I mean,
Super cool.
These things didn't even exist. When I was in high school, YouTube didn't even exist. This was not even a career path.
This was never, it's, if anybody asked me, because we started the channel in 2011.
Yeah.
I was finished.
Because we started the same year.
Yes. And I, at that time, like it was a new thing. It couldn't make money on it. It was just like a fun side.
Monetized for a long time.
And no thumbnails. You just had to pick between those three screens and you just hope that one of them isn't like,
And your face isn't like this.
yes. And you just like, we just hope for the best.
That's what they did with shorts when it first came out. They were
Yes,
like
it was
freeze
just a
frames.
freeze
I was
frame.
like,
And
stop,
I'm too
stop.
emotive. My face is like always, oh my God. Yes.
You're really expressive. It's like,
I know. I'm like, you caught me. I'm like, worst moment. Oh my God. But yeah,
Thumbnail.
I know. And I kind of think, I was talking with Grace Helbig the other day about this too, because
yeah.
I think there's something too, when we created back then, there's something magical to the fact that we couldn't make money. So it was all done with just joy and excitement. And like, I just want to put this out because I think it's cool. Or like, I hope you like this cake. This is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Does it look just like, I don't know, like Yoshi, like you hoped or whatever, right? And so you're just making random things. And it's like, because it was a fun hobby, there was more joy involved. And I think the audience was also more joyful. And I feel like, not that it's ruined, but things are so different now that it is what we do for a living. And that comes with its different, it ups and downs of it, positives and negatives. Like you have this beautiful studio, beautiful home, all your lovely little doggaroos. I really think it's important for people to know and to hear a success story of ADHD and dyslexia, and not even getting diagnosed until you were like 18.
Woof.
Yeah. Like, did you ever imagine?
No, I just remember one summer my mom we got in a fight because
Mom fights are the
I think
worst.
I know. And it was her coming from a good place, and she was trying to understand how my brain worked. She really knew it was different, but she didn't know, and I don't think she knew how to talk about it. And I remember I came home for like the summer, and she just was like, "Hey, honey, I was thinking, let's get your brain scanned." And I was like, excuse me? Like,
Good to see you too. Okay.
Excuse you? And she was like, I think there's, you work different. And I was like, and I'm a kid. And I'm just like, what? I was like offended.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, maybe I should. And so then I did.
Maybe mom is onto something.
Yeah. She just didn't understand, I think, how I could ace AP advanced like calculus and then not be able to compose a sentence structure correctly. Like, I don't know what that's called, juxtaposition.
Yeah.
I think that she was like, is half your brain dead? Like, she really was like right brain, left brain. She was like, is there a part of your brain that's just like not on? And I was like, excuse me?
I don't think my whole brain is working.
Pretty sure I'm picking up everything you're saying, and I'm offended. It's like, what? But yeah, it was eye-opening, I guess, because I learned, like, hey, don't have an ego. Mom does know that there's something different. I am functioning but we don't know what is going on. She's doing her best. She doesn't know. And then after I took a minute to process and think about that, then I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. So got a scan. There's nothing in there. Yep.
Just a functioning brain.
It's just a functioning brain. There's nothing abnormal. There's no tumors. There's no, and then it started, I don't know how to say this. Like I don't think she knew shit about like, what do you call, like learning disabilities.
Yeah.
I don't think in all the parenting books that she had,
they don't talk about that stuff.
I don't think at the time they had anything.
It's the reason I don't see children in my private practice. I stopped because it's hard for parents to admit or accept that something might be different, that something might be wrong, or that something might need more support for their child. It's very hard. Like, I thought forever I wanted to be a child psychologist. I wanted to work in the schools. I thought there was such a need there, and I really wanted to fill it.
Definitely.
And then I had my first couple of child clients, and I was like, oh my God, the parents are the worst. I love the children, still do. Instead of having one patient, you have 3 automatically. Wow. Not to mention if grandparents are involved, which sometimes happens, depending on culturally, depends on how the family is. Parents have a really difficult time wrapping their head around this and accepting it because they automatically feel like, well, I did something wrong. And I'm like, no, that's not what this is. But that self-blame, that automatic self-blame makes them very resistant and very defensive.
I think there's stigma. I think you nailed it earlier. Like, a lot of people assume that if you're dyslexic or have ADHD that you are lower intelligence, but they have found that's the opposite. They've found people who are dyslexic, ADHD, are average to above intelligence. So they have average or above intelligence. So it's just a stigma. And I think it's because of how the processor is different and it's not as typical. And so that's just the easiest thing to say is, oh, you're slow or something. And I'm like,
Yeah, well, it's like because standardized testing is like the quote unquote only way to test intelligence, and you're like, absolutely not. Like you were telling me earlier about that guy jumping in the pool and like the gymnastics and the trajectory. Like, I can't do that. And sorry, I'm not snoring. It's the dog. But I could figure it out, but it would take me forever. And you do that automatically, and that just shows like a different type of intelligence, right? It's like,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm hopeful for the future that schools will work for different brains, like have different types of testing and different types of assessments, and so that children don't grow up thinking they can't. Because look at all you've created.
Yeah, because I hid it for a really long time. I knew that I was not like the other kids, but I didn't really know why. And I didn't have a name for it, and but I would know that I wasn't processing the same as them. They were picking up things I wasn't. I was picking up things they weren't.
Yeah, it's
And
like
I
you're
was
on
like,
different planes almost.
there's something different here. And it was just so bizarre. It was a weird time. I think that was just really, really weird. I did a lot of like, I don't know what you call it, hiding it. What's a better word?
Like, it would be, I mean, hiding it, yeah.
I didn't want to be different.
They say women more than men do more like mimicking, mirroring behavior, which is like, I see what you're doing and I'm going to try to do that myself.
Yeah.
And we can be really great people pleasers. So like, what do you want to hear from me? I'll tell you. And that hides our issues for longer because we just really want to fit in, and we
Yeah.
really just want to be quote unquote normal. And yeah. And also I do want to give Mike a little credit too, because
All
it's
the
like
credit.
you found your finisher in him. You found your scheduler, your structure, like PLU. It's like
He's like my rock.
yeah, and it allowed for you to flourish.
Yeah. I think that's a really important relationship. And I hope everybody who has ADHD, if you're diagnosed with ADHD, that you find that partner, whatever that looks like, whether that's like a best friend or it's a romantic partner or like a parent, that you just find that person, because it makes a huge world of difference. I've even been reading articles about people who, at different levels of severity with ADHD, they actually have Mike, is it called doubling? Or what's it called? Body doubling. For some people, they need a body double. It's like an aid, body doubling, and how beneficial that is. And like in a business setting, that would be like an assistant.
Yep.
To help you keep you on track and help you get tasks done, and because you have so much workload. But just for your everyday life, it's just kind of like a partner, a buddy system that really helps with keeping things focused if you don't have that.
It's almost like a work buddy too. Like if you need to get work done, they'll sit next to you and do work as well. Like co-working is really great for
Yeah.
ADHD people. But they can make sure that you're like on, oh, you have a call in 5 minutes or 10, start switching you over and getting you ready and making sure you don't forget things. Because again, it's not about like your brain not working. It's about working with it, because it's always seeking dopamine. It's always seeking enjoyment,
Yeah.
which can be great if you enjoy your work. But then you need to be pulled out of it sometimes when you're like, no, I'm in the flow. And that flow state is gonna be hard to pull.
I really loved small study groups. That was something that really helped me in college, because a small study group, it's small, so
Yep.
it's not going to be too distracting. There's just a little small handful of people, and everyone had a common goal, like determined to get through this, chapter or this whatever. And so it feels like you're part of a team, you have a common mission, and everyone kind of helps you stay focused to that specific task. So that's something I found with ADHD that was really helpful at my college, small study groups.
Yeah.
I learned that large study groups did not help me. I was too
Too much.
distracted. There's too much going on. There's this person snacking, it's too many people. But then smaller is just perfect.
That's so interesting. I'm so glad you found that. And
Yeah.
it's like with Mike, he's your body double kind of
Yeah,
a little bit.
always.
So what advice would you have? Thank you for talking with us, by the way, and sharing all this.
Very welcome. This is fun.
What advice would you have to maybe little Ro or somebody else who feels like something's wrong with me, I don't fit in, I don't know what I'm doing, why isn't my brain working this way? What would you tell them?
I would remind them that standardized schools, the system, is not made for us. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It's just that school structure was not made for you. So you have to kind of work around it and within it to make it work for the time being. But afterwards, when you're thinking about careers, really focus on one of those fields. I think there's 4 fields where they said dyslexics flourish. And there's a bunch of fields where people with ADHD flourish. And if you just focus on a bunch of those and try them all, because you could fall in love with something that you never even thought you would. And there's no way to know until you try. And so many places will let you job shadow. They'll let you do internships, especially when you're in school. Especially they love that. It's great. And so many people are willing to open their doors and help you to do a job shadow and just see if you'd actually like it. So I would just encourage everybody to do that. Focus on the careers where you flourish. Focus on your strengths and not your weaknesses, because for dyslexics there's a lot of fields that you would thrive.
It's
Thrive.
working with, not against your brain.
What somebody else couldn't do, it would take them days, it takes you seconds, and that's what you have to lean into. So just in those categories, when you're coming across subjects in school or activities that you find that you're really good at or just really make sense to you, keep leaning in that direction, and exploring it and see what you want. Because I'm someone who has tried 100 jobs.
It sounds like it. I had no idea.
And a lot of them failed because I sucked at them. And that's okay.
Hey, we learn. Move on to the next.
I tried it.
Yep. And I had the same experience too. Like jobs that I thought were meant for me didn't work. Like I thought I wanted to work with kids. And I was like, I don't think that's a good fit. And you slowly figure it out, And I would get bored at jobs and you find something that fits. And I feel like I've always felt like, oh, you have to fight for it. But truly the relationships, the jobs that are meant for you feel effortless. Yes, it's work, but there's no fight to get yourself motivated to do it. There's no fight against your brain to get you to finish that project. It feels more seamless. It feels like it's you're going with the current, not against the current. Yeah. Well, thank you for chatting with us. I love seeing you.
Thanks for coming over. This was so fun.
Anytime.
We need to do something again soon.
We do. But love you. Thanks for chatting.
Love you.
And thanks for listening and watching. We'll see you next time.